Hello all, my name is Chloe. We are set to begin a nice aerobic vinyasa yoga today. You will need 2 blocks, or they will be very assistive. Today we're going to be focusing on more of a flow, more aerobics, and we're going to strengthen the hips a little bit. We're just going to keep it light, easy, and moving. So to mix it up a little bit, we're going to begin our practice at the front of our mats. Standing feet hip distance apart. Lift the toes, let them fall. Kind of just begin to develop your sense, being attached to the earth, being present to this moment. We're lifting the toes, we're letting them go. We're imagining the 4 corners of each of our feet, planting, rooting into the ground. And we're just standing, shoulders rolled back, arms resting at our sides, crown of the head reaching up toward the sky. Our eyes are shut, or our gaze is very gentle. And we're here right now, just beginning to notice our body, where our body is at today. On your next exhale, let all of the air out of your body. And on the inhale, swoop your arms up above you, mountain pose, stretching up. On the exhale, just let your arms fall. We'll do that again. Inhale up, expansive and light. Lift your toes, let them fall. Exhale. Bring those hands to heart center. Still closing the eyes. We're going to rub our palms together. Just creating a little bit of energy. Lift your toes up, let them fall. Make sure you're grounded here, you're present. And then let them pause, ghosting apart about an inch, feeling the vibrations in between your palms. Mindfully, we bring our fingers and our hands back together. We let our hands rest at our chest. We're just going to set our own intention for this practice. What will make us present today? What is our focus? What do we want to get out of this? So you close your eyes and start to bring yourself to the reality here and now of your body, choosing to move it within this next hour. Find your sense of purpose. For me, I'm going to try and keep it playful. I'm going to try and be curious about all of the poses that are to come. What can I explore mentally? All right, so we're bending our knees a little bit. We're creating some bounce. On the inhale, stretch your arms open in mountain pose again. Fingers stretching apart. And on the exhale, lean over to the right. So we're leaning our left arm over, bringing our right hand to our right hip. We're just stretching over, opening up our left side body, putting our weight into our feet evenly, and breathing. Arc back to center. Place that left hand on the left hip, and reach the right arm up and over, pressing into your feet evenly, opening up, feeling alive, arcing back to center. On the exhale, we're going to swoop all the way down into our first forward fold, making it a bit of a rag doll at first. Our feet are hip distance apart. We're bending our legs. We're letting our head droop. We're grabbing either elbow. And we're rocking left and right. Just opening up our back a little bit. Letting our head be heavy. Letting the blood pool a little bit. Stretching straight the right leg, then the left leg, opening up the hamstrings, lift up your toes, find those 4 corners, let them gently fall back down. On an inhale, we're going to move to halfway lift, coming to our fingertips or pressing against our shins to roll our shoulders back, straightening the back, warming it up a little bit, trying to engage the hamstrings, trying to engage the stomach muscles, and really straightening our spine as much as we can here. Exhale, fold. It's okay if your knees are a little bit bent. We're just warming up here. We're going to plant our left hand in between our feet, right under our face, and bend that left leg just a little bit, straightening the right a little more, reaching up with our right arm for a little bit of a twist, reaching up for the sky, keeping a lightness. Exhale, back to center. And then planting the right hand in between our feet, bending our right leg. We're going to reach up to the sky with our left arm, stretching open. And exhale, fold, letting your head fall. On an inhale, we're going to halfway lift, adding a little bit of a back bend, as though this were cow pose, just a little bit of a counter movement so that on the exhale, we can curve the other way a little bit, folding respectfully into our legs. Inhale, energetic halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Bending the legs a little bit. Inhale, mountain pose, jumping for the sky. Exhale, hands to heart center. We're going to move into a baby chair here, bending the legs just a little bit. Pausing for a moment, looking ahead of us, shoulders rolled back. Torso light, palms pressed against each other. One inhale here. One exhale here. Inhale, mountain pose, straightening, lifting up and exhale. Forward fold. Now here we might want our blocks. You might want to rest on your fingertips. We're going to play around with just a gentle, easy, beginning the practice standing split. Shifting the weight over to our left foot, finding those four corners of the feet, lifting the toes up, making sure we're really rooted in our left leg. We're going to start to peel up our right foot. And maybe we have blocks on either side of our feet. They can be up high, they can be a little bit lower. But we're just focusing on this balanced transfer of confidently coming to our left leg. And keeping our hips just about where they are. We're just going to lift our right leg behind us. However high it lifts, perfectly fine. We want to tip our head forward a little bit, but this is just a measure to open up our legs a little bit. Okay, so when you're ready, we're going to start to bend that leg and just open up the hip a little bit, leaning into our fingertips or the blocks just to either side of our feet. We're going to rock our right leg in small circles, pressing into that left foot and just opening up that leg, getting things loosey-goosey. Inhale, center, find your own standing split for the beginning of practice. And exhale, bend that leg, step it back where it was. Bending either leg until you feel a little bit even. We're going to fold for a moment. Make it a little bit deeper than last time. Inhale, halfway lift. Rolling the shoulders back. Exhale, fold. And then we'll prepare for the other side, coming to our blocks, if you have brought them. We're going to start to shift our weight very slowly, peeling out that left leg, pressing into the right leg, until suddenly we feel really confident about kicking that leg back behind us. And just opening it up at first. Letting our head tip forward. And just stretching that leg out behind us. We're going to bend that leg at the knee and start to rock that knee in circles, opening up the hip just a little bit. Pressing into that right leg. And on an exhale, gently stepping that left leg right back where it was. Find yourself in forward fold again. Perhaps making it a bit of a ragdoll, opening up the lower back. Bending the legs a little bit more. Letting your head fall a little bit more heavily. We're going to inhale, halfway lift, pressing against the shins or the floor. Rolling the shoulders back, opening up the throat and the chest. And exhale, fold. Okay, bending at the knees here. We're going to very mindfully plant our hands about shoulder distance apart. And we're just going to start to walk our legs back into downward facing dog. We're in an inverted V. Our top half is pressing our hips up, as is our bottom half. We're lifting our toes, letting them fall, noticing how that changes the sensations our legs are experiencing. Bending one leg and then the other. Find an inhale here. Find a point of stillness. Find an easy point of silence. And on an inhale, bend your legs a little bit. On the exhale, hop forward to the front of your mat or walk very mindfully. We're going to let ourselves fall forward just a little bit. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Micro bend the knees, rise up, mountain pose, stretching for the sky. And exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, arms up toward the sky. And bring that right hand to your right hip. Stretch over to the right side with your left arm. Opening up. Back to center. Plant that left hand at your left hip and reach over to the left. Inhale, center. Swoop the arms behind you now, rolling the shoulders back, clasping the fingers behind you, and pulling those knuckles down a little bit. Still engaging your legs, your hips, letting the crown of the head be tall. We're going to inhale here, our legs shooting into the ground. And on the exhale, we're going to hinge at the hips, coming to a forward fold, letting those hands fall up and over us as they may. Holding that hand clasp a little bit, letting the head fall, letting gravity stretch the shoulders a little bit. We're going to take one inhale here, pressing those hips a little bit higher. And on the exhale, pull yourself up by this clasped hand situation happening up top here. Begin to arc backward, bending your legs a little bit, engaging yourself in the arc, and letting those hands go. Allowing the hands to swing left and right. You're looking over your shoulders. We're loosening everything up, feeling good, and coming back to neutral. Inhale the arms up, mountain pose. Exhale, cactus the elbows to your side, opening up the chest a little bit. And then hinge at the hips, falling forward, bending the knees a little bit, planting the hands, and stepping into plank pose. Our hands are shoulder distance apart. Our fingers are really engaged here. Palms are engaged. We're pressing ourselves up. Our legs are engaged. Our toes are tucked. We're just as straight as we possibly can be. Take one strong inhale here, pressing away from the floor. And one even strong exhale. Keep exactly as you are. One more inhale. And on the exhale, begin to lower with your elbows in, keeping your body straight, lower all the way to the floor, adjusting as you need to if your blocks are too near your face. Untucking your toes, zipping your legs together. We're gonna roll the shoulders back, keeping the hands very light, very little weight is in them, and pressing gently into the tops of our feet, engaging the stomach muscles. We're gonna go for a baby cobra here, lifting up our shoulders, our collarbones, our head, just lifting by our lower back and our stomach muscles. Barely any weight is in our hands. And on an exhale, letting your body peel back to the floor, resting your head on the floor, recentering yourself before coming back to center. Bringing your chin to the floor, bringing your hands up right underneath your shoulders. We're rolling those shoulders back a little bit. We're pressing into the tops of our feet again, engaging everything else first. Our stomach muscles, our lower back, our legs, everything is engaged. Our shoulders are melted back. Inhale, cobra pose. Breathing here. Inhale, exhale. One more inhale. And exhale, lower back down to the ground. Fanning the elbows out, pausing again for a moment. We're placing those hands right back where they were, except we're going to move them about an inch underneath the shoulders. We're preparing to move into upward dog from here. We're still rolling the shoulders back, still pressing the tops of our feet. But as we lift our upper half, we're going to press into the palms of our hands, straightening our arms, and finding our own upward facing dog. You might want to inch your feet in a little bit, but your knees are lifted off of the ground, your arms are straight, your shoulders are rolled back. One inhale here, opening up the chest, and exhale. Tuck your toes, find a plank pose very briefly, and then hinge at the hips into that inverted V, downward dog. Letting it all go, adjusting as you need to, straightening one leg and then the other. We're going to move through a couple more sun salutations here. Moving with our breath. You can choose to move with your own breath if it varies a little bit too much from mine. But okay, so we're right here. Our hips are lifted. We're prepared. Inhale, look ahead of you. Bend those knees. Exhale, travel to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, mountain pose. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step back to plank pose. Inhale, up, plank pose. Exhale, lower halfway. Inhale, upward dog, straighten those arms, swoop up, untuck the toes. Exhale, a brief plank before hinging at the hips, downward dog. Hold here for an inhale. Hold here for a deep exhale. One more inhale. One deep exhale, let everything out. Let it perfect this V. Bend the knees, inhale. Exhale, travel to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift, rolling back, opening up, exhale, fold. Inhale, mountain pose, reaching upward. Exhale, fall down, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, step back, plank pose. Inhale into plank just for a moment. Exhale, lower halfway. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, hinge at the hips, downward dog. Pedaling it out. Inhale the hips up. Bending at the knees. Exhale, step forward. Exhale into the fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Lift those toes. Let them fall. Inhale, mountain pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Get a little more space. Exhale, plant the hands. Step or hop back to plank. Inhale, upward. Exhale, lower halfway. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, hinging at the hips, downward facing dog. Breathing. Lifting one foot and then the other. We're going to bring our knees to either side of the mat. Bringing the big toes to touch, briefly coming to a child's pose. Letting our forehead rest on the floor. Allowing our wrists to rest a little bit. Letting our hips be heavy. From here, it's more comfortable. We're going to sit up in this child's pose position. So you might want to sit on a block if that's going to feel a little bit difficult to sit up in. Feel it out for yourself. Either way, we're going to tent our hands up and just slowly walk ourselves back and up into this position. Finding a point of stillness. Bringing our hands to heart center. Inhale. Reach out for the sky, keeping your spine straight. Engaging your stomach. Trying to be totally stable here. Exhale. Shoot those arms out in front of you. Palms up. We're going to prepare for eagle arms. Bringing the right elbow underneath the left. First, just crossing them over. And then from there, trying to wrap the forearms as much as you can. It might not be much. That's okay. I'm going to hold those bound elbows in front of us, straightening up, grabbing onto our forearms wherever we're at. Inhale the elbows up a little bit, looking up. And exhale, lower those elbows a little bit, looking down, allowing for your shoulders to stretch apart. We can do that one more time. Inhale the elbows up, and exhale the elbows down. Coming back to center, the elbows right in front of us. Our forearms are pressing away from our faces. We're going to gently unclasp with our hands and start to unravel our arms. Shooting the elbows out to either side, coming to cactus arms. Fingers outstretched, chest open. We're looking up. And then just letting those arms fall. Inhaling the crown of the head up. Exhale, let your head fall to the left. Rolling the shoulders back. Breathing into the right side of your neck. One inhale to that area, loosening the tense neck muscles. One beautiful exhale to that area, rolling the shoulder back, trying to just loosen everything up here. Inhale, center. Exhale, over to the right side, just leaning your head slightly. Rolling the shoulders back, letting your hands be heavy. Inhale into that neck tension. Exhale into it. One last beautiful inhale. One last relieving exhale. And come back to center, shooting the hands forward. Palms are up. We're going to place the left elbow underneath the right elbow. Bringing our hands to face us and then wrapping the forearms together. Sitting here for a moment, bringing those elbows to eye level, pressing the forearms away from us. We're going to inhale this elbow combo up a little bit, looking up until we feel a nice little shoulder stretch. And exhale, tilting downward, looking down at our elbows, letting our head fall, and just breathing into this. One more inhale up. And exhale. Coming back to center, we're going to unravel our arms and let those elbows come to either side of our body, opening up the chest a little bit, letting those hands rest. Slowly pressing our way back into child's pose. Before coming up on our knees and settling into tabletop pose. Our hands are under our shoulders. We're going to move our block if our block was on our mat. Our knees are under our hips. You might want to tuck the toes and then let them fall again, stretching the feet a little bit. We're pressing into the ground, pressing our shins into the ground. We're going to let our belly fall and find a cow pose here. Crown of the head, tailbone reaching up for the sky. Our hands are pressing into the mat. We're active. On an exhale, curve the other way, cat pose. Clawing our hands into the mat. Letting our body curve. Breathing into the back of the spine, letting it open up a little more with every breath. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Rocking the hips from side to side. Inhale, cow. Look over your shoulders. Squinching the hips to side to side. Words. Exhale, cat. Curving the other way. And then we're going to find a neutral tabletop. Tucking the toes. Pressing those hands evenly into the mat. We're going to press into our tucked toes to hover our knees just about an inch, half an inch above the ground. Nothing too ridiculous. We just want to be present. So inhale, prepare, pressing the sides of your fingers into the mat, tucking those toes, preparing to lift. Inhale one more time, just preparing. It was a long inhale. And exhale. Lifting yourself up, lifting those knees. We're going to try to find a straight spine here. We're not putting our weight into our wrists. We're still pressing our hands into the ground. Looking at those knees. And noticing how much more focus this takes now. One inhale, one exhale. Make the inhales long, pressing away from the mat. And exhale. Letting those knees rest. We're going to come to a child's pose just for a moment, resting our forehead against the ground and curving our hands behind us, around our sides, grabbing onto the soles of our feet. Allowing the lower back to release a little bit here. Forgiving ourselves. Coming back to this exact moment right here with you and your body. We're going to come back to tabletop and hover our knees just one more time. So our knees are under our hips. Our hands are under our shoulders. Toes are tucked. Inhale, prepare. Claw those fingers. Exhale. Lift those knees up. You are a perfect table right now, or you're trying to be. Your stomach is stitching into your spine. Your head is elevated enough that your neck is long. And you're pressing into the mat. One more inhale here. Exhale. Press into those feet until you're in downward dog, stepping into the soles of your feet, moving your hands ahead of you just a little bit. Lifting one leg and then the other. We're going to inhale the right leg behind us, kicking it back. Stretching that side body, rolling the ankle. And we're bending the knee here, opening the hip up a little bit, stacking the hip. And you can stay there if you like, or you can roll that knee in small circles, clockwise and counterclockwise, opening the hip up, trying to press into your hands evenly, not shoving your weight into your hands either. Keeping it active. And you're ready, shifting the hips back to neutral and stepping that right leg back. Pressing yourself back to downward dog, bending one leg and then the other, walking your dog, coming to neutral. We're going to begin to lift our left leg, stretching it behind us, letting our head fall heavy. And then we're bending that leg. We're letting the hips stack. We can stay here, just observing this nice, gentle hip stretch. Or we can begin to move that knee in gentle circles, pressing into our hands evenly, clockwise and counterclockwise. And then exhale, shift those hips back, stretch the leg long and gently place it back beside your other foot. Inhale the right leg behind you. Exhale, bend that knee, bend that leg, and plant the right foot right in between your palms. Rising to your fingertips for a moment, keeping that toe tucked. You're gonna roll those shoulders back and just start to pulse forward and backward. Just a little bit. Sorry. Straightening your right leg a little bit. Just opening everything up, keeping that back leg strong. Opening up the throat and chest a bit. When you're ready, gently placing that left knee on the floor, untucking the foot, rising up with your arms, crescent lunge, kneeling crescent lunge, rolling the wrists here, and finding good form here. So our knee should not be over our ankle. We're pressing our back shin into the floor. Our shoulders are over our hips, and our pinkies are tilted inward just a little bit. And we're breathing light. Inhale here. Exhale. Placing those blocks on either side of your foot, or coming to your fingertips on either side of your foot, your right foot. So we're going to begin to peel up that right foot, straightening the leg. Halfway, half splits here. Just straightening that front leg until you feel a nice hamstring stretch. You can bring the blocks for a little bit of extra comfort. We're just focusing on making sure we can still move those toes about. We're opening up those hamstrings. Breathing into our lower body. On the exhale, slowly press into your right foot again, lifting those arms up, crescent lunge. And exhale, swoop those arms behind you. Try to balance as you peel that right foot up, coming into half splits. We're adding a bit of a balance here. I recommend you play with it, but you can always rest your hands right back on the mat. Arms shooting behind you. Let everything out on an exhale, and on an inhale, raise those arms, crescent lunge. On the exhale, we're going to plant our left hand right beside our right foot, pressing into those fingers evenly. And we're going to tuck that back leg, preparing to lift that knee, and lift the right arm with it in a gentle twist. Pressing against the ground, lifting the right arm. That back leg is totally straight and extended. Inhaling here, opening up, looking over your shoulder, exhale. Back to the ground, planting both hands now, stepping back, and moving through your vinyasa. Plank pose, lower halfway, exhale. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Tucking those toes, lifting those hips. Pressing into the sides of your fingers. We're gonna inhale the left leg up. Exhale, kick it on through. Plant that foot right in between the hands. Perhaps heel toeing the foot a little bit outward. We're gonna at first keep that back toe tucked and keep our fingertips on the ground, rolling the shoulders back, opening up the chest a little bit, and just pulsing a little bit here. Opening everything up, feeling awake and alive, before gently letting that right knee fall to the floor, untucking the back foot, lifting the arms into a kneeling crescent lunge, tilting the pinkies in, and the shoulders fall down the spine. We're inhaling here and exhaling, pressing that shin, the top of the foot into the floor. Inhale up and exhale, finding your blocks. We're coming to your fingertips. We're going to straighten. We're peeling up that left foot, coming into our half splits, lifting up those toes and lifting the hips until we feel that nice back of the legs stretch. Playing with the toes, pointing them, spreading them, lifting up the whole foot as to deepen this lovely hamstring stretch. Inhale, slowly watch your foot press into the ground again. You're going to reach your arms up. Exhale, swoop those arms behind you. Begin to straighten your leg and peel that foot, playing with balance or coming back to a halfway split. Either way, trying to straighten that leg a little bit more. Breathing into it. Arms stretching out behind you. And inhale, press into that foot, lift up. Kneeling crescent lunge. Move your blocks if they're beside you. We're planting our right hands right beside our left foot. And we're tucking that right foot, lifting up that leg, pressing the back of the knee toward the sky. We're going to lift up our left arm in a gentle twist. With every breath, deepening that twist a little bit, making sure to keep our fingertips light. We're constantly reaching a little bit higher, a little bit over, lifting up the toes and letting them fall. And coming back to center, planting the hands, stepping the foot back, and moving through your vinyasa or hinging right away to downward dog. Inhale, plank. Exhale, lower halfway. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Letting the head fall. Bending one leg and then the other. Letting it all go. Inhale the right leg up. Exhale, plant that foot in between the hands. Rise up, crescent lunge. Knee is lifted, leg is lifted. Pinkies are swiveling in a little bit. Shoulders are down. One inhale here. Exhale, swivel that back foot 90 degrees, opening up warrior two. Shoulders are over your hips. Your right knee is trying to move toward the right side of the mat, opening up your hips a little bit more. You're pressing into the knife edge of your left foot. Your arms are shooting away from you. You're totally flat. It's like you're being pulled apart. Keep the pressure on both feet even. On an inhale, we're going to flip that front arm and arc it up and over, reversing our warrior. You can bind the left arm around your side if you like. Breathing into the stretch. Inhale, center. And then plant that right elbow on your right knee. Stretching up the other way, side ankle pose. Reaching for the front of your mat. Shoulders are stacked. And we come back to center. Straightening that front leg. We're going to send those hips back just a little bit, preparing for triangle pose. Sending the hips back as much as you can before sending your front half so your right hand were being pulled forward until you reach a stopping point. Now you might want to pause and get your blocks for a little bit of assistance. But all we're doing here is just opening up, stacking our shoulders, And opening up this left hip just a little bit. We're not letting our body fall. So you might want to block if this feels really, really difficult and like a balancing act for you. We're pressing into our feet evenly. Our shoulders are stacked. We're using our side body to extend ourselves powerfully a little bit more. And on an exhale, as though your left wrists were being pulled up and over, come out of it. Let your body settle for a moment, wiggling the shoulders. We're going to tilt our right foot until it's facing the same way as our left. Going to widen our stance a little bit if that feels good. Our hands are on our hips, our shoulders are rolled back. We're going to come into a wide-legged forward fold. So inhale the chest up. Exhale, pressing your feet evenly into the floor. We're breathing into the top of our head, letting it fall, letting it be heavy. On an inhale, coming up to your fingertips or your shins, roll your shoulders back, come to a halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Coming a little bit deeper into it. Very gently, we're going to plant our hands, send that right leg back. And we're going to move through a vinyasa, through plank and upward dog, or we're just going to hinge right away to downward dog. Either way, be here in downward dog for a moment, setting yourself up for success, finding your focus. I'm just going to move to the other side, lifting that left leg. Exhale, bending that leg, stepping it in between the hands. Keeping that back leg raised, so we'll find our crescent lunge. Shoulders are over hips. We feel that lovely stretch. The top of our right leg. And the back of our right leg is shooting up. Everything is straight, totally strong. Lift up those front toes. Let them fall gently. Make sure you're totally here in the moment. Inhale. Exhale. Swivel that back foot, opening up, warrior two. Just be here for a little bit. Swiveling the hips open. Moving that left knee toward the left side of the mat. Stretching those arms apart. We're feeling powerful here. On an inhale, flip that front arm. Arc it up and over, reversing your warrior. Allowing this to be an active twist. And exhale, plant that left elbow on top of the left knee, reaching the right arm over, stacking the shoulders, opening up. And then, as though your right wrist is being pulled up and over by a string, come back to warrior two. Straighten that front leg, preparing for triangle. Shifting those hips toward the back of the mat. Reaching your top half. So just moving along the plane toward the front of your mat before you reach that lovely stopping point. Pausing here to get your blocks if you need them for this one. We're tilting and we're opening up, reaching for the sky, pressing into our feet evenly, finding some extra stability and energy in the knife edge of our right foot here. We're feeling active, swiveling open, stomach muscles engaged. We're here for one more breath. Exhale, wrist is pulled up. We're coming back to center. We're moving our left foot so that they're both facing the same way. Just so you can hear me, I'm moving to the other side. We're preparing for wide-legged forward fold, but that is not what we're going to do. We are going to, with our hands on our hips, tilt our heels inward just a little bit, preparing for a very brief goddess pose. So we're rolling our shoulders back, Our feet are at a 45-degree angle. We might want to move them a little bit in. Inhale upward, chest upward. And exhale. Bend the knees, bend the legs just a little bit. You don't want your knees to go over your ankles, but your hips are open and your shoulders are open. And we're just shifting from right to left, finding a point of stillness here, where we're constantly swiveling open, but we're stable. Inhale the arms up above you, trying to keep that sense of balance. Exhale, elbows to either side, opening up the top half with the bottom half. Moving from left to right to ease some of that tension. We're here for one more moment, so inhale into it. Exhale into it. Inhale, shoot up into a 5-pointed star, straightening the legs, opening up to the sky, tilting those toes until they're not at a 45-degree angle anymore. We're going to let our hands fall behind us, clasping those fingers, shooting the knuckles down toward the floor, opening up the chest, looking up, smiling. Exhale, we're going to hinge at the hips, keeping this hand clasp happening. Letting our hips rise very slowly, and then letting our arms arc above us. Letting our head fall. Lifting our toes, letting them fall gently. Keeping our body totally engaged here. Notice the small scale micro stretches happening here. In your shoulders, gravity's doing the work here. Tilt at the hips a little bit more. One more inhale. And exhale, let those hands fall very gently. Just let them fall to the earth. Lazily, we're gonna pat our hands toward the front of the mat. You can move through your final vinyasa or hinge at the hips right away to downward dog. Breathing, noticing where your body's at, clawing into the mat, finding some energy. We're gonna lift our right leg up, stretching it behind us, energetic, happy. Exhale, gonna bend that knee and set that right knee right behind the right wrist, preparing for half pigeon pose. You can swing out that shin if you like, but knee rotation is a little bit iffy, and it varies from person to person quite a bit, so you might not want to swivel out your shin at all. Either way, we're inching that back leg just a little bit with our toes until we feel that lovely hip stretch happening. You might want to move your knee out a little bit for a deeper hip stretch. We're on our fingertips. We're going to inhale, shoulders back, rolling the back. And exhale, melt on top of this lovely, lovely hip stretch. Coming to your forearms, resting your head against the mat. And letting your body be heavy. Let it become a part of the floor a little bit more with every exhale. And an inhale. Come back up to your hands very gently. Walking them back just a little bit. Tucking that back leg, lifting the knee. And preparing a little bit to engage the hands once more. And lift that right leg a little bit lazily. Stretching it back behind you before setting it down. Lifting one leg and then the other in downward dog. Finding a neutral point so you can lift that left leg, stretching it behind you, delighting in it. Exhale, bend that knee. Shift forward on your back toes and plant that left knee right behind the left wrist. Scooting that left leg back a little bit. Heel toeing the front shin out just a little bit if that feels good for you. Before coming to our fingertips, rolling our shoulders back, looking up at the sky. A little bit of a nice back bend, opening the throat. And then we'll proceed to melt on top of this lovely hip stretch. Letting our hips be heavy. Noticing that slow unwind of the hips here. Just letting gravity do the work again. We're just trying to relax a little bit more with every breath. There's a little bit of tension here, and we're just trying to let it all go. And an inhale. Return to the moments. Pressing your hands up, straining the arms. Moving the hands back just a little bit, tucking that back leg. And lifting that left leg behind you before setting it back down. Inhale the hips up one last beautiful time, pressing the fingers into the mat. Feeling a little bit more flexible. And on the exhale, plant your knees on either side of the mat, bringing the big toes to touch, sending your hips back into child's pose. Relaxing your arms, noticing how the mat feels on your forehead, rocking your forehead from side to side. Thanking your body for all that it does. Begin to engage the palms, pressing into the mat, enough that you can start to shift your weight up onto your hands, shifting your knees right underneath your hips. We're going to come into a brief puppy dog pose, moving your hands about 8 inches in front of where they are, and lifting those hips. Stretching the shoulders open just a little bit, keeping the hips over the knees. And pressing into the palms. Pressing the tops of your feet into the floor. Allowing for a gentle shoulder stretch. Bring your elbows to the floor and shift forward, allowing your belly to come to the floor. We're going to come to a brief Sphinx pose here. Your elbows are underneath your shoulders. Your fingers are spread apart. You're rolling your shoulders back, pressing the tops of your feet into the floor and lifting the head up. This is just a very minor stretch. A lot of small feelings here. We're melting the shoulders onto the backside, opening up the throat, the chest. We're looking up. And exhale. Lower yourself to the ground. Letting it all go. Bring your arms to a T. We're going to briefly come to spatula pose. First on our right side, which means that we're going to plant our left hand in front of us, keeping our right arm in that T formation. We're pressing into our left hand, rocking onto our shoulder, stacking our shoulder, and moving this left leg behind our right, just to allow for a little bit of stability here. Breathing into that shoulder stretch, noticing your own stopping point here. You can make this a bit of a hip stretcher if you like, lifting the leg a little bit, just rocking the hips a bit. And gently coming out of it, putting more and more weight onto that left palm, easing out of it. Coming back to that T. And planting the right hands right by your face, keeping that left arm in a T. Beginning to press yourself up onto that shoulder, lifting the left leg just right behind the right leg so that there's stability. And you can just let gravity do the work here. Breathing into that mild stretch happening. Opening up the hips too if you feel comfortable here. And exhale, center. Resting your chin on the ground. We're going to press ourselves up by our palms back into child's pose. With this one, we're going to bring our arms not in front of us, but behind us, grabbing the soles of our feet, letting our forehead rest on the floor, closing our eyes. Letting ourselves be a little turtle of a person. Remembering our intention. Breathing into our bodies, connecting with the soles of our feet and with the floor. On an inhale, moving to a seated position. Our knees are bent. We're grabbing onto our shins. Our feet are hip distance apart, pressing evenly into the floor. We're just going to pause here, rolling our shoulders back. Finding a point of clarity. Still pressing the soles of our feet into the floor. Keeping pretty still but energetic here. Pressing into our shins, rolling our shoulders back, lifting the crown of our head. One inhale here. And on the exhale, stretch your arms in front of you. Slowly start to melt back onto the floor. Bringing in your knees, hugging them into a ball shape. Rocking left and right. Coming into a brief happy baby. If you so desire, bringing those knees out. Grabbing onto the inside or outside of the soles of your feet. Rocking left and right. And coming back to that ball, squeezing yourself in a little bit extra. You're going to inhale here, feeling all that tension, and on the exhale, stretching out, full body stretch. Whatever that means to you. You might look like a star, you might be totally straight as an arrow. We're just stretching here. Getting out all the kinks, rolling things out, rocking hips left and right. One inhale, delighting here in whatever stretch you've taken. And on the exhale, mindfully begin to sort of melt back into the floor. Letting everything go. Starting to relax. Let your fingers, letting your elbows be heavy. Allowing your shoulders to relax into the floor. Noticing how your body is feeling. Noticing the softness of your stomach rising and falling with your breath. Close your eyes and just feel those echoes of movement throughout your body, starting to subside, but still so present. You are clear of mind. And if you are not, with every exhale, send any thought away from you. Inhale, clear, fresh air, and exhale every distraction away from your body. Allowing it to propel your body toward the floor just that little bit more. And relaxing. Allow yourself to be here for just a little while. I'll let you know when it's okay to start waking up, to come back to reality. So let go for this moment. Let go of everything. And allow yourself to be as relaxed as you can be. Just purely exist. Soften your face muscles. Soften everything. Blink open your eyes. Still allow your body to be restful. Just peacefully notice all the little echoes in your body. Take a deep inhale and start to stretch just your fingers and your toes, spreading them apart. Exhale, move them around, delighting in them. And a deep inhale, begin to roll your wrists and your ankles. Exhale, still rolling. Deep inhale, shoot your body up, stretching it, rocking your hips, tilting your heels. And on the exhale, peacefully move to your left or your right, coming to a fetal position, resting your head on your bicep and curling up a little bit. Still allowing your body to be peaceful and just be relaxed. Find a moment here to do something a little bit affectionate for yourself. Maybe it's just rubbing the side of your leg or moving some hair behind your ear. Or just letting your fingers rest on your forehead for a moment. And we're going to press our top hands into the floor, pressing ourselves up to a seated position. Coming to a comfortable seated position, noticing our hip bones against the floor. We're going to inhale our arms up, reaching up for the sky. And exhale, bring those hands to heart center. Letting your shoulders fall with your exhale. The light and love in me honors the light and love in you. Thank you very much for sharing your practice with me. Namaste. I hope you have a happy Friday. I certainly did and will. I will be here next week at 8 p.m. Please let me know if there's anything you'd like to see in my practice. But until then, I wish you well, and I hope you all stay safe.